I think when you start off in police work and stuff, there's people that, but I really can't say that. I mean, there's supervisors.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example.
There you go.
There's supervisors that you like, and then there's supervisors who think if they stick it to you, I guess.
Yep.
They actually are making a name for themselves.
Right. Right.
And my theory is this with police work. You could become a police officer to be a police officer. If you're becoming a police officer to be a supervisor, you're probably in the wrong position. And a lot of people do become police officers. And it's not the stigma they're saying, well, you know, they were picked on as kids and stuff. You know,
right.
So now they want to be a cop to
pick on other people.
Small percentage.
Yeah. I would hope so. Right.
A very small percentage. Yeah. But it's the guy that you work in there that his goal is to be an administrator. You know, so you're not doing this because you want to be a cop. You want to do this to be a boss of the cops.
Okay.
And that's when you're running one of those, you got a long.
Okay. You get a
long road ahead of you
before you get to that position.
Well, yeah, because they will do what they have to do to get to where they want to be.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is this. Let's see if we flip this back. Hey, it worked that time. Is that I love your attitude towards that, because it would probably be impossible for anyone to work their entire life and say, there wasn't anyone I worked with that I didn't like, right? So, but that's cool because you have the right attitude. You have a positive attitude that you're finding some redeeming quality in anyone you work for, right? Or work with, work for, etc. Now, on the flip side, somebody who has no redeeming quality.
You're referring to Tiffany?
Yeah. Right. Oh, I'm just messing with you, Tiff. How about in the past? Not current job, not in your last couple of jobs, but back in your youth. Did you ever work with people that you didn't like?
People know, person, yes.
People know, person.
There was one person
in particular.
Yes. Now, I didn't like her because she really did not like me.
Okay.
She had something against me, and she was trying to make my life very, very difficult. And it was funny because she made life difficult for all the other employees.
Oh, that's too bad.
So they thought, let's put her by Tiffany because Tiffany gets along with everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of pressure on you.
It did.
Unfair pressure.
And she didn't like me. And so she made my life very, very difficult.
You are like the Sarah Lee of this radio station.
Aww.
Nobody doesn't like Tiffany.
Yeah.
That's right. So what we're going to get into here is a little bit of the idea that in every workforce or workplace, there are these people, whether they are the management, whether they're peers or whatever, that go out of their way to be a pain. Okay. Because maybe they want advancement. Maybe they want something that you've got. Maybe they don't want to work, etc. So we're going to talk a little bit about a handful of people that I'm going to start off with this first one. I'm going to call them the shadow director or the underminer. It's the type of person who goes out of their way, always trying to undermine you. In other words, whatever you say, they're going to try to find a way to just make you not look right, not correct. Okay. Have you ever been into those kind of meetings where you run into somebody like always undermining you, no matter what's going on? What do you think?
Well, that would be the one girl that
would be it.
We would be in meetings, and I was always the bad guy, and I did everything wrong, and it was not pretty.
Okay. So let me ask you, how did you deal with it?
I put a lot of crystals to give the positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I you know what? The only thing I love more than that was your brother's face when you said that.
Yeah. So I kept my mouth shut, and I had my crystals.
Yeah.
I had my clear quartz and my amethyst and my rose quartz to keep the positive energy by me.
Nice.
Excellent. No, I did it. You know what really happened was we ended up, the whole department got laid off, or I didn't have to. I only probably had to deal with her for a good year.
Okay. All right. So that's it. What about you, Kevin? Anybody you can think of?
Not particular. If you're talking like supervisor wise, it's like, do you want my opinion or not? If they call me in and ask me something and I start giving it to them, then it's not the answer they want.
Right.
So, well, why did you call me in?
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes, what ends up happening too often, people call us in just to validate our argument. They're just looking for somebody who's going to agree with us. Right. Okay. What's a big smile? For,
Because I have
Tiffany?
a friend from California listening.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Good.
Oh.
I like you guys are.
Yeah.
You could say the name out loud.
She's
You could
like-
be out- hey, right.
Michelle.
Yeah, she's
Michelle.
looking at me, and I'm like, I'm
I
trying
don't
to think
know.
who she knows. from
California.
Like,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
yeah.
Right. So it's quite all right. Hi, Michelle. I'm glad you're listening. All right.
She just texted me. She goes, I'm listening now.
Good. Michelle, don't be an underminer, whatever you're going to do. Just be a nice person.
She's outstanding. Outstanding.
Okay,
person.
awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So some of what we have to do is when we think about those kinds of people, right? It's really important to, when we're having those conversations with those people, those underminers, is to set some boundaries, right? And make it clear about what you do, what they do, etc. I think it's also really good to come straight out and say, are we on the same page here? And just open, and it's everything we're going to talk about today is going to be about opening dialogue. Having conversations as much as possible. And what ends up happening is you're going to see that the more we dig into this, the more we're going to find that it's like, oh, the reason I don't have a conversation is because I'm questioning myself. Like, I don't have the confidence to do this. I don't want to fight for it. There she goes.
There's
There's
me.
the
I'm raising my
touchdown.
hand. That is me.
Yes.
Exactly. See,
And what you've got to do is you got to step up, because if you don't, these are the people who are just going to take advantage of you on a regular basis.
and they do.
Right. Okay. So the next person is going to be, I'm going to call him the idea bandit. Okay. This is the person who takes credit for everything, whether it's your idea, their idea, etc. And I'll tell you, this is the one that bothers me the most. Every week we do this, and there's always one that really irks me. I'll do a lot of stuff, and throughout my career, I've done all kinds of different things, and I've I've always tried to never go out of my way to pat myself on the back, right? And people who know me are probably laughing right now, going, "Who is this? Who is
Christy's
this?"
dying.
Right, exactly. But no, I really I do a lot of good things, and I find pleasure in my own success. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm doing that. I'm part of a bigger team. We're all trying to succeed. What I hate is when I do something like that, where I'm like, I don't need to brag, right? And someone else comes in and goes, by the way, I did that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a second,
Sure.
right? And because just like in sports, then I'm the second one to step up, and I go, wait a second, that wasn't you, it was me. Now I look like the jerk, right? Yep. And so this whole idea of, what about that? Any times that you've gotten involved, I'll tell you a short story that happened to me. I was in charge of a team that we were in the an R&D department. We were inventing stuff, right? And I had a big group, and I pitched an idea that I didn't know how to build a tool, right? But I draw it up on the whiteboard. This is what I'd like to do. I don't know what has to happen on the inside, the mechanics to make it work. And I have this group, and at a certain point in time when we're almost done, we had one guy build a prototype. The whole thing worked. It was great. It's a great product. It's still being sold today. One of the guys walk up to me and he goes, if we get a patent, my name should be on the patent because it was my idea. He says this, right? And I'm like going, oh, it was kind of like, all right, I'm trying to say, well, it was my idea. I created it, and I put a team together, and everyone worked out the mechanics, but it was my idea. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, I don't know, like how to convince this guy the part he played. He played one small part. Granted, he played a part in it, right? So I go to another guy and I go, I need your help here. This guy, let's just call him Bob, is saying that he invented this whole thing and blah, blah. And he goes, Bob didn't invent it. I'm like, thank you. He goes, I invented it.
No way.
Right? And it was just like, it was this irking feeling of going, okay, never mind. I'm walking out of here. And it's just that. And so what ended up happening, we did apply for a patent for that with my name and a third guy in the group, because there was another guy I really felt he was the one who built the prototype.
So you did get the credit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I took the credit. I ran the meeting. Yeah. I was like going, but it was one of those things of, I think people sometimes don't even realize they think they were involved in it. It's not like they're always stealing credit. I think they truly believe in their heart it was their idea. And when I was working, especially in the R&D department like that, what I realized is that it takes all of us to share ideas and bounce things off the walls. And it's got to have one leader to say, we're going to go with your idea, Kevin. And then, that little thing that you'd said, Tiffany, maybe we'll add that in, etc.
Kevin gets the big idea, but
right.
I get the little one. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Right. But then what ends up happening is all of a sudden, Kevin might go home and go, yeah, I invented something today. And it's kind of like, Well, hold on. Everyone came up with an idea. We chose your idea for the greater good, right? And Tiffany can even go home. You know what? I came up with an idea. They're using mine. Mine is the pivotal piece, right? And so what happens is, as a leader, you have to be able to show people they're part of it all. Okay, that you're in charge of 20% of it. You did 50%, whatever the deal, but the team built it together. So, and I think the more we communicate with our teams, the more the understanding is greater. Okay. But there's a difference between people who take credit purposely and those who take it accidentally. Hey, Tiff, can I ask you one question? You want to open that door? Because it is starting to get warm in here once they shut that door. All right. So have either of you guys run into that, any kind of a credit stealer, somebody who's
that I can't say I have. That doesn't really apply too much in police.
Now, have you been a cop like your whole life?
30 years.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I'm retired now.
Yeah.
I did 25 years of Bartlett and 5 years in Campton Hills.
Okay.
So I retired from Bartlett, and then I did work part-time in Campton Hills.
Yeah.
And now I'm completely retired, and I work part-time for the FAA security on weekends.
Gotcha. So what did you do before that? I mean, did you have part-time jobs? You work like...
I mean, before I became a cop?
Yeah.
I started a cop, I was 25.
Okay.
So before that, I actually I was partners with Rosati's.
There we go. I was waiting if you're going to say that.
That was pretty good. That wasn't too bad. And we sold that.
Okay.
And I made a mistake of buying a bar. Don't do that.
Oh.
Holy smokes.
I don't want to buy a restaurant, let alone a bar. Right.
I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah.
And then I took the test for Bartlett and I got hired. And I said, that's it.
There you go. That's what you want to do.
Yep.
All right. Tiff, what about you? Anybody, have you ever noticed anyone who like took advantage of you, stole credit for something you did?
Oh gosh, I don't know credit because I was pretty much just admin stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which, all right.
So, I really didn't have the position to actually come up with any type of idea.
Okay. No.
Sorry.
No, you know what? That's all right, Tiff. I want you to be honest with that's the whole idea here. So sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And you know what? Sometimes it happens really small or not important enough that it doesn't, we don't remember it. So that's good. Okay. All right. So two down already. Nobody's got any great stories yet. All right. We're going to keep going. All right. The third one. No, we're
I got great stories. We're going to be about Tiffany.
Oh, all right.
So,
all right. We're going to get
if
into
that's what you want, I can give it to you.
All right. All right.
She's got to get me back home. So
okay. We'll make sure you get home. We'll make sure you get home. Don't worry about that. So, the third person I want to talk about is the grandstander. Okay. Kind of like that, the bulldozer who, no matter what goes on, and I've run into plenty of these in meetings, they jump in and they take over the whole meeting, like push people out of the way. Like we're running it this way. They don't want to give anyone else a moment to talk. Now I found myself being the bulldozer sometimes, but also being the person on the sideline being bulldozed. Okay. So think about that. Anytime have you ever had to step up? And there's got to be something, Kevin, when thinking about meetings or anything like that, where you stepped up and someone else just kind of jumped in, whether to take the limelight or just take credit, whatever it was.
I would say during an investigation or something, you could build up a rapport with the person, whether it's the victim or it's the offender. Then you don't need a person coming in the middle of it and then screwing it all up. And they will do that because they think they know more than you do.
Right.
And they don't. But so they'll come in, it's whether it's talking to the victim or if it's talking to the offender. If you got the offender who's going to confess to something, he doesn't need this guy coming in. The bad cop, good cop thing really doesn't work.
Okay.
I mean, I guess maybe it does to a degree. I mean, in the 70s, it probably
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone expects it now.
But yeah, that's what it is. So if I'm talking to someone, I have a rapport, I don't need you coming in here and then making them mad. And then we're going to go back to step one.
Yeah. All right, Tiff, what about you? Something there. Have you ever seen that, witnessed that, where somebody just bulldozes in and takes over the meeting, gets in the way?
I'm the type of person that would like that because then I don't have to. I sit and I wait because I don't have enough self-confidence that I have anything worthy to bring to the table.
I'll tell you, I will not die a happy man until I help you build some of that self-confidence.
This is what it is with Tiffany. She says she doesn't have self-confidence, but she's doing this.
Yeah, right?
Exactly. And I feel awkward doing this, but this is natural to her.
Right. And
so she's got
no kidding, right?
She just doesn't give her credit for self-confidence.
Exactly. You know what? Here's something. Yeah, I'm putting you on the camera too, Tiff. I want you to think about this. Think about all the things you say about yourself. Okay, just think about all those. You don't have to say them out loud. Would you say those things to your best friend?
Oh, No.
Okay. And aren't you supposed to be yourself is supposed to be your best friend? Why do you beat up your best friend that much? Right?
I don't know.
Exactly.
You're
all
not
right,
the only one that told me this.
Exactly.
Everyone,
So it's all right.
Okay.
But now we're going to do a whole other show. We're going to get Kevin come in. We're going to do a whole series. How do we improve on Tiffany?
Okay.
And
maybe this was a mistake bringing him.
No. The toughening up of Tiffany. That's what it'll be. Right.
Tiffany, like I said, she doesn't give herself. She is, to use the term chatterbox is an understatement.
Oh my God, yes.
We were, whether we're in Florida, we got a condo in Florida, she would sit there and random start talking to people. I won't see her for hours.
Right.
Because now they're her best friend and they're best friends. And shit. We're in a grocery store, right? And she'll start talking to the clerk, and I'm like, they don't want to know this, but they build up a rapport and they start talking. Now they're best friends.
Right.
So
right.
She doesn't give herself enough credit.
Exactly.
She's very likable.
Yes.
People like talking to her.
There you go. There she is. Oh, come on, Tiff. Love yourself.
Okay.
Come on. You're on the camera. Just say, I'm the greatest.
I'm the greatest.
Nice. All right.
You know what I also notice about her?
Tell me more. I love this.
No, I'm just saying this because my condo's in a 55 or older community.
Okay.
Old guys like her.
Yeah.
Those old guys, the older they are, they'd marry her in a heartbeat. Now, granted, I love Mark. It's not going to happen because he's the salt of the earth. He's an outstanding guy. But these old guys they glamour her. They see her.
Oh, there you go. There you go. See, you got everything going on here.
I'm telling you.
What? You know what I think? I'll tell you. I really believe it's an act. She plays innocent.
It could be.
Exactly. It's that whole bit of, oh, poor me. That's what it is. Somebody.
Poor me.
That's
poor
right.
Me.
All right. Okay.
Oh, God,
all right.
funny.
So the next one we're going to go with is I'm going to call him the passenger. This is the person who takes the free ride. It's the person you work with. No, put your hand down. No, you don't. You work hard. It's a person who is just all the time, not, just doing the least possible, the very minimum. Okay. And it only seems to do something when someone is watching. All right. And so you think about that there has been times where myself, I've worked at places where I'm kind of like going, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. You lose a passion for the job and you're like, now I'm just collecting a paycheck. So I am going to do the least amount possible. But you've got to identify those people, because if your coworkers see that, then they start resenting you because they're like, we're moving all the heavy, we're doing all the heavy work and you're doing nothing here. How do you, we take a look at those kind of people. So what about that?
Okay.
Anybody?
This one I do got.
You got it?
So the one person that I didn't care for and she didn't care for me, she made a comment to me. She goes, Tiff, you got to stop doing so much work because you're making everyone else look bad.
Wow. And so good.
So it was.
But did you stop?
Of course not.
No. Okay.
Yes, I didn't like her.
Yeah, but it's also in your nature. You're getting paid and you want to do your job. Yeah. You love what you do and you're a responsible person. So
yeah,
cool.
But that one did.
That one rang true.
Rang true, yes.
Gotcha. What about you, Kevin?
To a degree, I could say yes. I understand what you're talking about. Is if an officer takes a call, and they're on it way too long. Now you start taking their calls besides your own calls.
Yep.
That, you should be able to take the call, leave the call, do your report later when you have downtime. Don't stay on a ticket, take the call and do the paperwork.
Right.
So other guys can start taking the calls in your area. That is a pet peeve.
There you go.
That
Tell me how you really feel.
But that's.
But with that being said, supervisors have caught it.
Yep.
Right. And they'll nip it in the bud.
Good.
So I got to give the supervisors credit there. When they do see it, they will, and then they'll say, no, now we're going to be watching for it.
And I'm hoping that in a police department, I'm hoping that it's more oversight like that. So people are paying attention to the way people are doing because lives are on the line.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, that's good to hear. All right. And so I'll tell you, in the sales game throughout my life being in sales, I saw a lot of people like that, part of teams who were doing team selling. Somebody would just sit back and go, well, I've got the bulldozer over here, the guy who's going to come in and say everything, and I'll just sit back and let it happen. And then I can share in the credit, and so I've seen that all the time. But then what ends up happening is when quotas start, appearing on the board and you start swapping teams, and all of a sudden that free rider is on his own. And it's like, oh, I actually have to sell now. I have to do something. Yeah. It was fun hiding in the shadow of somebody who was narcissistic and just jumping in front of everyone, but when they're on their own. And that's why I'm a big fan of when you're creating sales teams, is constantly keep rearranging the players.
Oh.
Keep moving them from team to team. Don't keep them the same too long, because people will disappear. They'll disappear in the shadows and not do their work. They'll rely on someone else. Okay, so with that, we've been talking a lot about coworkers here. So now we get into this, the puppet master, which I'm going to call as the micromanager. Okay, the person who the boss is that point of leaning over you, wanting to do everything to the point where you almost feel like, why am I here? If you're going to watch over me and correct everything I'm doing, why are you here? And then the flip side is the ghost, the boss who disappears, like gives you something and then you never hear from him again. So you never, until it's too late, and all of a sudden it's your yearly review and they go, oh yeah, you've been doing a lousy job all year. All right. So which do you have stories of either one of those, or which of those do you think is worse? If you had to have one of those, a micromanager boss or a ghost of a boss, which do you think you'd rather have?
I would rather have the ghost, because if I know what I'm doing, they tell me what to do, and then I just do my job, rather than someone looking over my shoulder, and then I'm thinking I'm doing something wrong, and then I will do something wrong because I'm all nervous that they're looking over my shoulder.
Gotcha.
But if my boss says, hey, Tiff, can you do this, this, this? All right, fine. And then I don't see them, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Kevin, what about you?
I'm agreeing with the ghost thing. Same with like supervisors. The micromanaging comes when a supervisor is newly appointed as a supervisor.
Yeah.
Now they want to make sure everything is to the T and that they get approval from their supervisors.
Right.
So then they start micro. But like with most supervisors, police department, as time goes on, it just runs its course. They're saying that they don't have to do that, and then it settles down.
Okay.
But I definitely prefer the ghost. If I never see you a supervisor.
So I'm gonna say that if I was gonna be a supervisor and I had to fall into one of those, I would rather I think I'd rather be the ghost if I was the supervisor too, as well as if I was the employee. But from the employee standpoint, right? Having a micromanager boss is really difficult because they're leaning over you, and that's a difficult conversation to have with them. But a ghost supervisor, somebody who gives you an order and leaves, at least I still have the power to walk up to them and say, I just want some clarification. Hey, this is what I'm doing so far. Am I doing this right? Is there anything else that you need me to do? I can control the narrative.
Right, exactly.
But a micromanager, it's you're being bullied over. They're nitpicking everything. It's really, really difficult for you to have that conversation. It's more like I said, it's more difficult to have that conversation. All right. So the last one I want to talk about is this, and this one's one of your favorites, Tiff.
Oh, right.
The gaslighter. Okay. Is somebody who
I don't even know what does that mean.
All right. Okay.
Nice.
You
didn't listen to the show 2 weeks ago.
You make me listen to the show. I don't have a choice.
Well, that's what the show is about.
All I know is this: Tiffany likes cookies.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you need to know. That's pretty much it. That's the whole show.
Hide the Christmas cookies. And then I'm like,
that's all. That's
I didn't
the
think she was a big
show.
cookie fan.
Oh
but apparently
my God! We can't keep any cookies in this studio, right?
That's what I got out of your program.
There you
Hide
go.
the cookies
That's
from
right.
Tiffany.
Right.
Okay. Do you want to explain a little bit?
So a gaslighter, and the term came from an old movie called The Gaslight. Okay. And it's basically the type of person who tries to convince someone else that they're wrong. Okay. In other words, it's trying to convince them, if you say, wow, it's warm in here.
Right.
Why don't you turn on the air? And I started going, well, Kevin, you specifically asked me to turn the heat on. You wanted to make it warm in here. And I started doing that almost to the point where you start questioning your own sanity.
Okay.
Did I really do that? Yeah. You came in here. You said, ooh, it's cold. So I turned on the heat. Make up your mind. And if I started doing this, you start asking yourself, all right. And so what ends up happening is coworkers, bosses will start doing that, especially if a boss makes a mistake. Okay. And says, here, I need you to file these reports. Right. And then you file the reports and they come back and go, I didn't say file those reports. I said, file these reports. Why would you think I want you to file those reports?
Right.
All right. So they're manipulating you. And sometimes, again, with all of these, sometimes we do it purposely and sometimes we do it accidentally. Right. And so it's up to us as employees, coworkers, bosses, etc., to be able to identify that part first. Is this accidental or is this purposeful? If it's accidental, we bring it up and say, hey, just pay attention to the way we're talking. Let's correct the way that we're communicating. If it's purposeful, then it's time for us to really have a sit down and delve a little deeper into why we're acting that way. Okay, that all makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Beautiful. You know what? We're gonna take a momentary break here.
We are.
Yeah. Can you believe that? But first, before I do that, I'm gonna actually try to choose some things to break about. How's that?
Oh,
I just
pick good ones.
Yeah, there's one all about cookies, and
Yes,
so we'll do that.
And Santa Claus eating all the cookies.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're gonna do this. So everyone, please stay tuned. We'll be back more with how to work with people you don't like, and we're gonna get into the bacon of it in the next half an hour. So stay tuned.
Since Comcast came into the Lake McHenry County area as the primary source for cable TV, they've shown themselves to be one of the most community-minded companies around. They've graciously provided our studio facilities with cable TV services so we may monitor national news, and CHSI high-speed internet service so we may stream our broadcast signal via the web to increase our coverage area to include a global audience. For more information on basic cable, digital cable, or high-speed internet cable services, their website is www.comcast.com.
Explore the heart of our community with Unlocking Lake County. Join me, Dick Barr, as we dive into the local real estate scene, spotlight vibrant businesses, and celebrate the people who make our county unique. Tune in every Wednesday at noon on 98.3 The Life FM for insights and stories from around Lake County.
Hi, this is Ronald Curtis Grace, host of the Ear Candy Emporium show right here on 98.3 FM The Life. Join us every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll share some great music, have a laugh or two, and get your weekend started on the right note. That's the Ear Candy Emporium show, the home of sweet musical treats, every Friday afternoon from 4 to 6, right here on 98.3 FM The Life. Or you can catch us streaming live at 983thelife.com. See you then.
Tune in Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. for the Bus Stop Blues, your favorite stop along the route for blues music, interesting guests, and updates on the local music scene. Bus Stop Blues, 7 to 9 p.m. on 98.3 FM.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Thank you for staying tuned to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And if you could hear the conversation we were having behind the scenes, all right, you'd never tune in again. All right, so in the studio, I have the ever popular
Tiffany
and her brother,
Kevin.
Wow. Could it be any different than that? That was awesome. I really thought you were gonna yank up those shorts.
No,
That's all Tiffany. That's
right,
good.
right, exactly. So can you believe this, Kevin? Because we were talking about how nice, wholesome, and wonderful Tiffany is, right?
She is.
That there was a point in time where she was like, I don't want to be called Tiffany like that anymore. Remember, you went through that whole period. Can't I just be Tiffany?
Oh, sorry. That was kind of loud.
Sorry.
Instead of being Tiffany, I just said Tiffany. I didn't want to be Tiffany.
It all depends on the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a seasonal thing.
It broke. It's a seasonal thing, right? It broke poor Ron's heart because he was like, oh, because Ron
is the one who created it.
Exactly. No, I think you created it. He just copied it.
Oh,
yeah.
He did a better job than I did.
Hey, he does do a good job. Well, he's got a singing voice. All right. So, Kevin, I know you're an avid listener to this show.
To a degree,
when
I have to.
When you have to, I know, right. And
he listens a lot.
I know, and this is your little sister, so whatever she says goes, right?
You know what I did do, Will? When I used to be in the police department, you went on, got a podcast.
Yeah.
And Tiffany told me about that. So when I'd work at night, I could listen to you throughout the night, not have to listen to you live.
Gotcha.
So when I worked night shift, I'd work 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
6, and I could listen to your things throughout the night on my radio.
See, I always wondered. The podcast said we had a listener, and I was always wondering who that was. That was awesome.
And when I had to go, I could put on pause when I have to go to a call. When I come back and by was over, time to go.
Oh, there you go. See, I have like 6 different computers set up at home, and they play Apple Music on one, Spotify on another. I got to get our ratings up. All right. So thank you for your work there. So then, because you've listened to a few episodes, that what we do is the reason it's called Bacon Bits is that everything bacon touches becomes just a little bit better.
It does, sure.
There you go. All right. I mean, you think about it. I cannot think of a food that if you added bacon, it wouldn't just become better.
As long as it's crispy.
Yeah, that too. Okay. There are some things I would add crispy bacon to, but I kind of like it a little chewy. But anyway, that's separate decisions.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we do is we add bacon to our topic. And so today's topic is how to work with difficult coworkers. How do we work with people we don't like? So, of course, we're going to add some bacon. But we're not talking about the bacon for chewing. Go on. Kevin, do you know it?
No.
It's the bacon for doing.
Oh,
There you go. Wow, Kevin.
I was reading too much into it.
Right, there you go.
There was actually going to be a tough question.
No, that was an easy
I'm
question.
trying to think. I listened.
That was an easy
Oh,
question.
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. Wow. All right,
I could have figured that out, but probably been after 7.
There you go. Okay, we're good. All right, so the BACON, we use bacon as an acronym. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to break it down to B is going to be boundaries and body language. And this is how we're dealing with people we don't get along with at work, people we don't like. A is going to be avoid when possible. All right. C is going to be control the connection. All right. That's going to be a tough one for you there.
Why is she writing this down?
I always write
them
down.
down. Paper or anything.
Exactly. No, you don't need paper. That's all right. It's all right. She writes it down and she throws it out on the way out. All right. O is this is Tiffany's t-shirt. It should say offer a smile. Okay. And N is now get on with your work. Okay. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. So we get into this whole thing of we are always going to be stuck with somebody who we don't enjoy working with. There's going to be somebody, it's just in life. We can't possibly like everyone in the world unless we were Tiffany, right?
That's true.
There you go.
Very true.
Exactly. So we're going to run into people just that rub us the wrong way. There's just something about it, right? I don't care if you're 5 years old or if you're 80 years old, you're going to run into somebody who just like, he's not going to be my best friend. She's not going to be my best friend. So in order to get that, the first thing we have to do is set some boundaries and establish some body language. Okay. If you're realizing you don't like somebody, you're not getting along with them, you have to set some boundaries. And sometimes it's as simple as when you're sitting at the desk, turning a little bit away from them, right? Just a little bit, showing them. And I hate to call it the cold shoulder, but that's exactly what you're doing. All right. And you have to be able to say, look, I'm just working. I'm just, we can always talk later or something like that. And I think that's where it starts, is being able to set that boundary. And the boundary is not only physical boundaries like that, but we're also talking about being able to say, no, I don't talk about my weekends at work. I just came here to work and I just want to move forward. And you got to do that.
And then they'll say, wow, that person's a B.
Well, but you know what? If you don't get along with them, if they feel that way, it makes working with them a little bit easier because they're not going to come talk to you, right?
Good point.
Yeah. I think with that, you could also, if you're not that way all the time,
right?
If they know it's only when you're working, not to do it, they don't take it as personal. Because if you see them outside or different, and then their buddy, they won't take it personally. Oh, that's his only
work
when
thing.
he's
Right.
working.
Yeah, but the tough part is here's what we're working with is let's say for some reason I'm one of the few people in the world I don't get along with Tiffany, right? And we're working in a cubicle next to each other. We're talking, right? Sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so annoying.
As he's shooting rubber bands at my head.
Exactly. Putting thumbtacks on your seat. And I'm going, what happened to my cookies? All right. Yeah. So what's going on is
I knew that was coming.
There you go. But what I need to do is I have to set up a scenario where she knows I'm not into small talk. And if I don't get along with her, even when I see her in the lunchroom, in the break room, or walking out to the parking lot, I've got to cut that off there too. Yeah. And I've always got to set those boundaries. And no matter what it is, it's got to be, look, I can't, I'm leaving right now. You know what? I'm deep in thought. Whatever it is, we have to set those boundaries.
And the crystals.
Yes, we lay out the crystals. We surround ourselves like candles, the whole bit. Right. But we have to do that hoping that the person gets the hint. Okay. And if they don't get the hint, this is where we have to be able to just say it out loud, and it's really difficult. And I think this is the toughest part of just being able to say, you know what?
I don't want to be your friend.
Right. Exactly.
I got enough friends. I don't need another
exactly.
one.
I don't need another one. Right. Yeah. But it's really tough because who's going to take that easy? Because everyone's going to take it hard. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. It's just, I got enough friends. Right. Yeah. But what's tougher is, let's say the three of us are working together. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing everything I can to avoid Tiffany, but I want to hang out with you, Kevin. And I'm talking to you. Right. Then she walks out and I'm like, all right, I got to go back to work. And I walk away. Right. This is where it gets really difficult. And this is unfortunately where we have to be able to talk about this and be able to pinpoint what is it about the person that we don't like? And it might just be, hey, look, I don't mind chatting with you every now and then,
Sure.
but what ends up happening is you're bothering me too much during the, you're interrupting me while I'm trying to get stuff done, and try to maybe lessen it a little bit there. Okay, but the clearer you can make it, and I think the first part, the kind part, is just being like that, being the type of person to kind of do it casually and hope that they catch on. Okay, Tiff, how would you respond to someone like that? Someone who would tell you, "Look, I can't talk to you. I'm."
I'd cry.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't you want to be my friend?
Right. I just picture going to the parking lot and you'd be sitting in my car. Can we talk now? I love Kevin's like, she's done that 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So what do you think? How would you, if you ran into somebody you didn't really like, what would be some of the things you feel you'd say or could say?
Honest to God, I'm being totally honest with
I
you.
know what your answer is.
I would fake it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what she said. That's how she married Mark. She doesn't even get along with Mark. She just said,
I think it's the other way around.
I could.
I'm going on. I love Mark. He's a saint. I'm
there
like,
you go.
Man, why are you with my sister?
Nice. Nice.
And you know what? He says, where am I going to go? I'm 60 years old. What?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's deaf in one ear, so it all works out
He
well.
he pretends to be deaf in one.
Exactly. It's all good.
I need a cookie.
Yeah.
All right. So it's really important. The first thing we do is when we're looking and we're working with people, it's even more difficult if the person we don't get along with is our supervisor, because then it's really tough to set boundaries. But even then, you can come up with the idea of, well, have the conversation. And as soon as the conversation switches to the things that irk you, the places you don't want to go, like we start talking about our kids and stuff like that, you can end up saying, look, sir or ma'am, I really want to get this project done. I really want to hit the deadline. So I'm just going to take this whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
All
When
right.
is it time to say enough's enough and leave the job?
Oh, well, I can't give you a date or a time frame
No,
with that. You're going to feel that within yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you don't get along necessarily with your supervisor, or you don't get along with the person that you sit next to, the crystals aren't working, when are you going to say, okay, I got to find something else, because this just doesn't.
Here's actually something really interesting is I just read about this, is when you think about a spot where you'd say, there's a friend of mine down at the end of the block, right? And I can walk to their house. It's easy enough to walk, right? I have a friend who lives a little further away, but it's still walking distance. Then I've got a friend who's 5 minutes away by car. Well, by walking, that's going to take me a long time to walk there, so I'm going to drive. The question, though, is if I drove to that middle friend, I would get there sooner, but it's within what I'm going to consider walking distance. So there's a point in time that with work, in the same attitude of, it's not bad enough to quit. And what we do is we suffer through it. All right. And instead of saying, I'm going to go find another job, you're like, oh, I'll just stay. It's all right. And we suffer through it. So we do the walking instead of the driving. And sometimes we have to look within ourselves and say, I deserve better than this. All right. It's not the obvious thing like, hey, I'm about to get fired. All right. So I better find another job. The guy's embezzling. I better find another job, whatever the deal is. Sometimes we're stuck somewhere in between where we're kind of like, it's not bad enough. I haven't gotten the push yet. All right. And that's when we have to sit and ask ourselves, is this really what I want to be doing all the time? Okay. Then you also have to ask yourself the question, is it them? Is it the situation? Or is it me? Am I the type of person who I'm never going to be satisfied anywhere? Because if that's the case, then I have to learn to become a better employee. I've got to learn to improve my outtake. I've got to learn to improve the way I respond to people, etc. But there's that tough part between, I love it here. It's not exactly what I want, but it's so tough to quit. It's so tough to look for another job versus the long term is like, this is terrible. I got to go. Okay. So you always have to ask yourself, where are you in that position? Are you just tolerating it? Because who wants to work at a place their entire life that they're saying, I just tolerate my job. Right. But then the first thing, again, I'm going to ask you, when you say I'm just tolerating it, so I'm staying, is it the job or is it you? and you have to ask, and you got to be honest with yourself. No one can answer that question other than ourselves.
I think a lot of people is if they don't like their job, they just stay because it takes too much effort to find something else.
Yeah. There's marriages like that. I don't want to go through a divorce because I don't want to live by myself. I would rather live with this person than be on my own.
The sad thing is I have friends that said, you know what? I don't get a divorce because it costs too much money.
Yeah.
Because of like child support and alimony. I'm like, oh my God.
But you got to ask them straight out. So if that's the truth, if that really is the truth, then you got to either fight for the marriage. You got to really make it work because you're stuck in it then. You're saying this is it, right? You do have a way out. It's kind of like I'm on a sinking ship. And you're like, well, it's a sinking ship. What am I going to do? I could swim. Okay, but the shore is so far away, right? I'm sitting on the sinking ship, and yet there's sometimes a lifeboat sitting there, right? And you're like, yeah, but the lifeboat's way on the other side of the ship. I don't want to walk all the way over there.
Want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
You're saying that Tiffany made a comment saying that, well, it's too expensive to get divorced. Ask her who paid for my first divorce. I mean, obviously there's no second divorce. I've been married for 30 years.
All right,
second.
there you go. She paid? Good for you.
You know why? I didn't have no money at the time. Yeah. And she goes, why don't you get divorced? I said, I can't afford to get it. She goes, I'll pay for it. I go,
boom, done.
And I took her up on it.
She did. And then he goes, okay, here's how much the divorce cost. I'm like, ooh, oh, really? I'm like, and I did. I'm like,
I meant I would buy you the pen that you signed the paper with. All right. Well, that could see. You're right. Yeah. I mean, she is a saint, right? Yeah, she is amazing.
No, it's saint.
No. All right. Well, that's true. Thank you.
She's a good egg.
She's a good egg.
My grandma would say she's a good egg.
Good egg. Nice. All right, I'll buy that.
Which grandma?
Both of them.
There you go. All right. So, wow, we got into this boundaries, and we're using up all our time on B. No, that's all right. That's all right. I love talking about it too. So A is this: avoid when possible, which I think is the next step past boundaries. And it's that type of person. You're just going out of your way to avoid them, hoping that they will get the message, right? Hoping that they'll catch on, and also hoping that they don't take it out and they turn that sadness that they feel into anger, where they're suddenly going, oh yeah, Tiffany thinks she's better than me. That's why she doesn't want to come talk to me, right? That whole thing. You don't want that to happen. So when that kind of stuff happens, you need sometimes another ally, someone from the outside to come on and say, look, we're here for a job. We got to get our stuff done. Let's just, if you guys don't get along, you don't get along, right? Just work separately, right? And hopefully a good leader, a manager, a supervisor is going to realize that and separate the two.
Yeah.
Now, think about this, Kevin, when you were in a squad car, right? Yeah. Can you imagine working with your partner that this is someone you just don't get along with? Ooh. How rough that would be?
It would be. Did
you have a partner?
We had times that we did, depending on what detail we were on.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't.
But, and I got along with everybody, but I understand. I'm kind of like Tiffany.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to talk to me, I get to the point where I feel bad for them. So then I let them vent because
for someone who likes to talk, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I want people to feel sad for me.
Well, this is what it is. I feel because why do you want to vent to me?
Right.
If they want to vent to me, I'm like, if it makes your day happier, then go on and ramble.
Yeah.
But I really now, unless they have different opinions of something that then I can understand where maybe they shouldn't.
Right.
Work together.
Okay.
But,
okay. I got you. So this whole idea of venting, all right, I feel very strong on venting. All right. And I just went through this with somebody else. My philosophy is this: if somebody comes to talk to me, and I learned this mostly, talking with my brothers and stuff like this, but it really came true when I realized talking with my mother, my wife, and my daughters, okay, that suddenly there was a commonality between those three, right? And so what I found was any of them would come and talk to me, and now I have to do this whole thing of saying, okay, you're about to tell me something. Is this a problem that you want me to fix for you? Is this a problem that you want me to help you fix? Or are you just venting, right? And asking that straight out so I know how to respond, because I would have the attitude of, if somebody's going to give me a problem, I want to solve the problem. So
it's a man thing.
Yeah. And so by asking those questions, do you want me to solve this problem? Or do you want me to help you, guide you in solving it yourself? Or are you just looking to vent? And then I follow it up with, but I will only tolerate venting for such a short period of time, because then it turns into whining, and whining I don't have time for, and whining doesn't solve anything.
I think I had told you this story before, and I'll try to make it quick because it's kind of funny. It's a Tiffany story.
Yeah.
So I was in the car.
Those are never quick.
No.
You just said no, not right now.
Okay. So I was in the car and I had a really bad day at work. and I called Mark to vent. And
Yes.
So I'm talking and talking, and he's letting me talk, and I'm getting it all out of my system, and it was great. And finally, I'm like, "Thank you so much for just listening, Mark. I really need it."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Tiff, I'm so sorry. The cell phone connection went out. I didn't hear a word you said."
He should have said. He should have said.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm
Anytime.
here for. That's what
Yeah.
I'm here for.
Oh, that's all I needed is just to get it all off my chest.
Exactly.
And I thought he was
Wow.
just listening and everything.
I
He's
think
like,
he is the
"Sorry."
only man who would have admitted to that. The rest of us would have been like, honey, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
You know, anytime at all. Now that I know where that button is, you need to complain anytime. All right. So we're getting close to the end of the hour. Can you believe this? We're going through quick. No,
Wow.
we're
Okay,
good. No,
okay.
no, don't be
We
sorry.
got
This-
it? You
this
think
is
we can
great.
finish?
Of course we can,
Okay.
because we're gonna jump them all together.
Okay.
All right. So far we've done this whole idea of boundaries and body language. A is avoid when possible, and C is that same type of thing. Control the connection. All right. When we are working with someone we don't like, all right, we've got to try to control the connection. Whether it's again with our body language, we have got to be able to cut people off when they're talking and going, "Oh, that sounds like a great story, but I can't listen to it right now," and walk away. I've got to make sure that I don't bring up. Let's say I'm not getting along with Kevin. I can't bring up stories of my family if I don't want to hear about his family. So I have to control it. It goes both ways. You know, if I've got friends like that. I know some people. I'll start telling a story and they'll cut me off. "Oh, you know what? That reminds me of my pet, my wife, my child." And before you know, and you're sitting there going, "Never mind. I don't even want to talk about my kids," right? Okay. So you have to control the connection there. You have to be careful how you speak. Don't give that person information. Don't introduce conversations that you don't want them to be part of. Okay. So that's that part of controlling the connection. So we're going to get into these other things. O is going to be offer a smile. And what's different about this is the flip side. So far, we've been talking about we're working with someone that we don't like, but what if we're the one that is not liked? Okay. That's tough. You know, you've got to put yourself in their shoes. Like everybody wants to be liked. And we all understand that not everyone is going to like us. But when that happens, part of us wants to know why. Like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. We just don't get along. That's all. You know, oil and water don't mix. There's nothing.
Politics.
There you go. Politics is a big thing, right?
My mom and I all the time would argue about politics.
Yeah. And isn't it? And so one of the cool things about this is I always ask this is when you're driving home an important point like that, when you're talking about a topic like politics, as it's starting to get deeper, you have to stop and say, is this worth losing the relationship with?
Absolutely.
And it is absolutely worth losing the relationship.
No, you're absolutely
exactly
right.
Especially because when we're talking about
Yeah.
my mom, you know,
Yeah.
for a while they didn't even talk. And it's
Yeah.
like over petty stuff like
Right.
politics.
Yeah. And you're like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So let's not talk about it. We have to, sometimes on things like that, we have to agree to disagree and we have to move forward. But there are also some things that we're going to talk about as a family that we can't disagree. We can't agree to disagree. There are certain things that are affecting the family that you can't keep going, "I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it." Right? There are going to be things about, finances or how we're going to raise the kids.
Parents getting old.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do it and you're going to have to think their future.
That's it. And so you sit here and you start saying, "I don't want to talk about it. We disagree. They should stay with us. That we should put them in assisted living. Then let's not talk about it. We'll just agree to disagree." You can't, because it's going to happen. Right. And so those are the toughest ones. And those are the ones that we should, the next show we're going to have is all about having those difficult conversations. We're going to get back into that, about how do we do that? How do we argue? How do we get people to open their mind? How do we go through that step by step?
Kevin and I don't have a problem arguing at all.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't know about a lot.
Okay.
We start arguing, she cries, and it's the end of the
and
argument.
then it's the end of it. And then you're like, fine, you win. Okay. Yeah. So I'm one of 7 kids. And so there is a lot of things we don't agree on. And so every once in a while, you know what we need in my family is what works for us every now and then is when a common enemy comes in. Right. Because then we all rally together, because I can pick on a brother or two and, tear them apart, pick on them and, bully them, whatever. Right. But if another person comes in, no one's going to do that. No one's going to cross that line. We stand together. So you need that occasionally. And I always think that's a pretty cool thing, especially with siblings, that have a really strong bond. You need something like that, that commonality, that common enemy to remind you of how much you care about each other and that there are things that are more important than the argument. Okay. All right. So this whole idea of the flip side is there's people who don't like us and we have to work with them. So this O is offer them a smile. Okay. And this means exactly, not that big right away. All right.
You don't want to scare them.
No, exactly. But just be courteous. You're testing the waters and seeing how much you can connect. And if you realize they don't want to connect, okay, don't make it about you. Don't go to them and say, what's wrong with me? Why don't you like me? What's wrong? That's not going to solve anything. You tested the waters. You're being cordial. Now you leave. And that's it. You can continue to be cordial. You don't have to be best friends with everyone in the world. Right. And I think that's the important part, because if you start seeing people you're working with start giving you the cold shoulder, right? They're setting boundaries. All right. They're trying to control the conversation. They're avoiding you in these ways. When you see that, go ahead and test the waters to make sure that you're correct in your assumptions. Maybe they're in the middle of something, a big crisis or a big project that they've got to focus on and they can't focus on you. They're going to appreciate that you just stepped aside, that you're there, you're cordial, and maybe a friendship can bloom afterwards. Okay. So that's the B, A, C, and O. And the N, of course, is right at the end is now get back to work. The bottom line is that's what you're here for, right? You're there to work. Nobody hired you to be best friends with the coworker. Being best friends with people you work for is an incredible perk that when it happens, we should be proud about it, right? We should be really happy and excited about it, but also understand that we're all humans. There are 8 billion people in the world. There's going to be a couple of people out there who don't get along with you for one reason or another. Not you, Tiff.
Okay.
The rest of us.
All right.
Yeah. Right. All right. So it's really important just to understand that is to set those boundaries, right? And it's really important to also to set those boundaries and just be cordial with people, especially if you are in different levels of management. If I can't really be friends with people who work for me, and I definitely can't have 10 people work for me and I'm really good friends with 2 of them and the rest of them I just get along with, because that is a recipe for disaster. So the golden rule I look upon is always, as a supervisor, a manager, an owner, a leader, etc., I'm always looking to say, be friendly, but don't be friends. That's what's so important.
I have 2 of my really good friends were my old managers.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we didn't hang out when I worked for them, but now we go on vacation together. We have girls' trips together, and they were my managers.
Oh, and well, that's cool. That's really cool.
But not when I worked for them.
Right.
After either I got left the department or whatever, then we became friendly and we did our girls' trips and stuff.
Gotcha.
So I was
well after you're gone, right?
Correct.
So that's cool. So can you imagine a scenario where you're working in a place, right? And you're one of a pool of workers with a common supervisor, and that supervisor really gets along with one worker more than anyone else. Whether they do anything right or wrong, you're always going to have that haunting you, going, "Oh, well, yeah, sure. Marty always gets whatever he wants, right?" And then you're called on it sometimes. Then as a supervisor, you know what ends up happening is the person I get along with, like let's say I get along with Kevin, right? Now I have to go to Kevin. Sorry, we had this idea, this new project. I can't give it to you because everyone's going to think I'm giving it to you because we're friends. And he's like, but I'm the best person at it. Yeah, that doesn't really matter anymore. So it's you're better off if you're going to lead a team is to be friendly, but not friends. That's what's the most important thing.
Good point.
So, man, we've wrapped this whole thing up.
Nice.
So let me ask you this. Thanksgiving is coming up. It's right around the corner. What's your favorite food for Thanksgiving? Yes, I love that answer. Is there one thing like you'd be disappointed if it wasn't on the table?
You know what? She can make outstanding desserts. Crazy good desserts.
Really?
Like I'm telling you,
she never brings them here.
She should. I'm telling you.
I brought you the pecan muffins.
She makes desserts that you could buy it at a bakery. You'd say it came from the bakery.
Nice.
Outstanding. She makes these s'mores. She can make anything.
Thank you.
Nice.
Right now, with that being said, regular food, nah, not so much.
I don't enjoy it.
All right. Crock pots are best friend. But,
okay, nice.
But when it comes to desserts,
she's the best.
Outstanding.
So what do you think if she stopped making one dessert or one food, what would be the one that would break your heart?
They're not. No,
they're all delicious.
They're all good. I can't realize just none of them that I said.
Wow.
I make these pecan pie muffins.
Yeah.
And I brought them in for
They
you
were
the
very
one
good.
time.
Yep.
And I think you because you really like pecan
Yeah.
pie and
Yeah.
they're little muffins that you could.
All right, Tiff, what about you? What's the thing that if you don't have it for Thanksgiving, you're going to be upset?
I do love mashed potatoes and stuffing.
Okay, that's cool. That's fair
Those
enough.
I do like those.
I love it. I'm going to go with, and it's really interesting, is string bean casserole. Okay,
Oh.
and it's only because it's one of those things that that's the only time that anyone ever makes it.
You know why?
No.
Because you make it with cream of mushroom soup.
Yeah,
she
whatever.
doesn't
All
like
right,
mushrooms.
all right.
I
Yeah.
like it.
But I like it because it's the only time of
Yeah.
year. Like when I see it, it must be Thanksgiving. I can have turkey other days, right? I can have mashed potatoes. I can have sweet potatoes, all this other stuff. But for some reason, no one makes that any other time. Now, Christy's listening. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have a big pot,
She's gonna-
pot of it, right? Ready.
Surprise!
Right, exactly. You're staying up till I'm done and you're eating it all, right?
Yeah.
All right. Kevin, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being part of this
It's
show.
fun.
This has
Thank
been a
you,
lot
sir.
of fun. Tiffany, always a pleasure to have you here. All right. Did you learn anything, Tiff?
Well, of course I did.
What did you learn?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So you wrote something down. That's why she takes notes.
Because
That's why. All right.
Yeah,
now-
now you-
if there's someone you don't get along with, you could just give a small smile and continue on with your work.
All right.
And then you could get them in the parking lot and,
That's right.
and start talking their ear off.
Oh, I thought you'd like dent their car or something like that. That's even better. All right, Kevin, what's your big takeaway of
I
today's
learned
show?
I got to take notes.
Yeah,
Apparently,
you
I
think
didn't
so.
take any
That's
notes.
all right.
Then it
That's
caught
right.
me off
Yeah.
guard. I started
know.
writing everything.
I know.
Wait
There
a
you go.
minute.
That's right.
And I'm
right.
looking around. I don't even have the access to it.
No,
pen or
there you
anything.
go. That's right. You don't need that. That's all right. I think next time you got to learn on what's your favorite dessert from Tiffany. That's what you're working on. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. You got it. You got it. All right. Again, thank you all so very much for tuning in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. If you missed any of today's episode, tune in later in the week. The recording will be up on the YouTube plus all the other streaming platforms.
What about
where you listen.
Spotify?
It will be on Spotify,
Okay.
iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, etc. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, look for Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Look for the one with Tiffany's beautiful face shining through. All right. Thank you guys all so very much and take care. Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Very nice. That was cool.